have a realization of, what particular team I have been a part of in that particular year. And, understanding this year, we fought and we played to the maximum ability of our team. But ultimately, if we're being completely honest, we were out-talented. We were not outworked. We were not, they didn't out-physical us. They didn't outsmart us. I feel like we were just out-talent.
LeBron James finally said the quiet part out loud. After another Lakers season ended with more questions than answers, LeBron sat down on Mind the Game and admitted what fans had been arguing about for weeks. The Lakers were not beaten because they lacked effort. They were not beaten because they were soft. They were not beaten because they did not understand the moment. In LeBron's own words, they were out-talented. And the second he said it, the whole conversation changed. Because this was not just a normal post-playoff excuse. This was LeBron looking at the roster around him and saying the Lakers did not have enough. But here is why that line hit differently. LeBron was not talking about some random team he had no connection to. This was the Lakers roster, a team shaped for years around his timeline, his window, and his influence. So when he said the Lakers were out-talented, fans immediately asked the obvious question: if the roster was not good enough, who helped create that situation? Because for years, every Lakers move has been judged through the LeBron lens. Every trade, every signing, every young player moved, every veteran added. So when LeBron finally blamed the talent gap, it sounded less like a simple basketball answer and more like a message to the front office.
On LA rescinding the rights to LeBron and remaining in communication with him of their plans. And likely, like the way these things go, it's because of how the timeline works, we're often like, well, they're going to rescind the rights and then LeBron's just going to be waiting in the wilderness. Like, no, the Lakers will probably have several moves plotted out.
And that is where the story gets uncomfortable, because this was also the same season where the Lakers made history by putting LeBron and Bronny James on the same roster. For LeBron, that moment was bigger than basketball. He has said playing with his son is one of the greatest achievements of his career. And honestly, as a father, that is something people can respect.
I would be, when it comes to basketball, it's the greatest accomplishment that I've ever had. Done it all as an individual, but there's no greater accomplishment that would be to overtake me being on the same floor as my son. So it's the greatest thing that's ever happened.
But because it happened in Los Angeles, on a team still judged by championship standards, it naturally became part of the bigger roster conversation. That does not mean Bronny is the reason the Lakers were out-talented. That would be unfair. He's a young player still trying to grow, and he never asked for every Lakers problem to be placed on his name. The real issue is the situation around him. When LeBron says the team needed more talent, fans do not only look at one player. They look at every decision, every roster spot, every move, and every priority that shaped the season. And because Bronny's story is tied so closely to LeBron, he gets pulled into a debate that's really much bigger than him.
It's always just been to put my name out, make a name for myself, and of course, get to the NBA, which is everyone's end goal that is here. And I never thought about just playing with my dad, but of course he's brought it up a couple times.
This is why the out-talented line became bigger than one playoff loss. It opened up the entire Lakers power conversation again. For years, people have accused LeBron of having major influence over roster decisions. Some of that is natural. When you have a player that great, you build around him. But with LeBron, the perception is always stronger because his teams often move aggressively. Young players get traded, future picks get moved, veterans get added. The roster changes fast. Then, when the plan fails, the blame often falls on the front office, the coach, or the supporting cast. That's the pattern fans are tired of discussing.
The next thing he's doing is talking to the Lakers front office. He's basically telling them, and Woj, you can appreciate this, accept whatever Joe Harris money you gotta accept to get the Kyrie deal done. That's basically what he's saying, because otherwise he won't win another championship in LA.
And to be fair, LeBron has a point about Oklahoma City. The Thunder were loaded. They were younger, deeper, faster, and more balanced. They had more two-way players. They had more athleticism. They had more lineup answers. So when LeBron said the Lakers were out-talented, he was not making something up. He was describing a real gap. But the problem is not the truth of the statement. The problem is the speaker. When the most powerful player in the room says his team lacked talent, it does not sound neutral. It sounds like a warning. It sounds like, fix this or I will have to think about my future.
But ultimately, if we're being completely honest, we were out-talented. We were not outworked. We were not, they didn't out-physical us. They didn't outsmart us. I feel like we were just out-talent.
That part matters because LeBron also knows how to control a conversation. He has done it his whole career. When he speaks, the league reacts. When he hints at uncertainty, every show starts debating his future. When he praises a player, trade rumors start. When he criticizes the roster, the front office feels pressure. That is not an accident. LeBron is one of the smartest athletes ever when it comes to media timing. He knows when to say something, how to say it, and how to leave enough space for everyone else to fill in the blanks. This is why people like Kendrick Perkins have argued that LeBron already knows what he is doing. Whether fans agree or not, that is the reputation LeBron has built. He rarely says things without understanding the reaction. So when he says the Lakers were out-talented, then talks about his future, it does not feel random. It feels like the start of an off-season message. Maybe he wants more help. Maybe he wants the Lakers to be aggressive. Maybe he wants pressure on the organization before negotiations. Whatever the reason, the timing is what made it explosive. And that is why the comparison to his past keeps coming back.
I also believe this, that LeBron James always have a plan. But I believe that his plan should be he's going to play another year, right? I believe that he's going to play another year. I believe that it is not going to be in a Laker uniform. And I believe he's going to get everything he deserves, meaning the send-off that he should.
This is not the first time LeBron's words have controlled the NBA conversation. In 2010, one sentence changed the entire league when he announced he was taking his talents to South Beach. That moment created the player power era in a way the league had never seen before. Since then, every LeBron decision has felt bigger than a normal basketball move. He's never just choosing a team, he's shaping the story around the team. He's shaping the expectations, he's shaping the pressure. LeBron finally said what everyone was waiting for, but the truth came with baggage. Yes, the Lakers were out-talented. Yes, Oklahoma City had more depth. Yes, the roster needed more answers. But LeBron is not just another player noticing the problem from the outside. He is part of the reason the Lakers have been built this way. He is part of the reason every move becomes a win-now move. He is part of the reason the franchise has lived season to season for years. And that does not erase his greatness. LeBron is still one of the best players the game has ever seen. His longevity is unreal. His ability to stay relevant this deep into his career is almost impossible to explain. But this is the other side of that greatness. When you are powerful enough to shape a franchise, you also take some responsibility when the shape doesn't work. You cannot have influence when the roster is built, then distance yourself when the roster falls short. That is why the Bronny part makes this even more sensitive. LeBron wanted the father-son moment and he got it. It was historic. It was emotional. It was something no one had ever seen at that level. But once that moment became part of a Lakers season, it also became part of the basketball evaluation. Fans are not only judging the story, they are judging the roster. And if the roster is not talented enough, then every decision that shaped it gets questioned. So now the Lakers enter the offseason with pressure everywhere. LeBron has publicly admitted the team was not talented enough. The front office has to decide how far it is willing to go to satisfy him. Bronny has to keep developing under a spotlight most young players could never handle. And the fans are left asking the same question again. Is this team still chasing a title, or is it stuck between building for LeBron's final years and protecting its own future? That is the real reason this quote blew up. It was not only about losing to Oklahoma City, It was about LeBron finally saying something that exposed the whole situation. The Lakers need more talent. The roster is not enough. The team is still being judged by championship standards, and LeBron, even at this stage of his career, still wants the organization to move like his window is the only window that matters. So when people say LeBron finally said what everyone was waiting for, this is what they mean. He admitted the Lakers were not good enough, but that admission did not close the debate. It opened a new one. The front office now has pressure to upgrade the roster. LeBron has pressure to prove this is still a championship window. Bronny has to keep developing under a spotlight most young players could never handle. And Laker fans are left asking the same question again. Is this team still chasing a title, or is it stuck between building for LeBron's final years and protecting its own future?